What's up, guys and gals? Welcome back to the Nerd Castle for the next episode of Shadowrun Hong Kong. My name is Splattercat, and it is a hot afternoon here in California, but I'm going to be spending some time with you playing Hong Kong. Well, Shadowrun Hong Kong. I guess I go Hong Kong Shadowrun. Shadowrun Hong Kong by Harebrained Schemes. Enjoying the game greatly right now. I like all these games, to be honest. I blew through both of the previous ones, and so this one's probably going to be no different. But welcome back to the Nerd Castle. In the previous episode, everybody we had just made the acquaintance of had died, because that's how Shadowrun works. You make friends, they all die, then you make more friends. You start just really kind of worrying that maybe you shouldn't make friends anymore because they're just going to die anyways, and perhaps you're the problem here. It's a big old circle of self-loathing, but we're going to do our best to work our way through it. In the previous episode, we had also just gotten some burners, and so if you hadn't watched it, you probably want to. This is a narrative-heavy game, and you don't want to miss out on a single tiny little bit. Obviously, if you already went ahead and went down below in the description and clicked on the little link and bought the game for yourself, you've already probably got the spoilers, but you know, I figured I'd warn you. Anyways, we've got to, well, let's ask her if she keeps a supply of burners in her pocket. See, she's got something that could burn a hole in her pocket. You guys see it? Ah! I'm gonna move on. Runners need to be prepared for contingencies, isn't that right, Isabel isn't listening. She's staring open-mouthed at her own PDA, its bluish glow illuminating her horrified expression. Gobbet, we gotta go. Right now. Isabel's voice is monotone but emphatic. Well, you could have told, if they had told me that before, I would have done it that way when I said it. She holds up her PDA to show her friend. They're after us too. Her screen displays a local newscast. Your own face stares back at you from the upper left corner of the screen. And in breaking news, just under an hour ago, Hong Kong port authorities were involved in a firefight with members of a terrorist cell linked to the mainland city-state of Hainan. The battle left 3 terrorists dead, along with an unconfirmed number of Hong Kong police officers. Your image winks out, replaced by a scowling image of Duncan Wu, a mugshot from a long time ago, before Raymond. Our sources report the Seattle natives Duncan Wu and Pop-Tart Tuesday, along with their Hong Kong-based accomplices, are still at large. They are well-armed and should be considered extremely dangerous. Low-res photographs of Gobbet and Isabel pop up on screen, replacing Duncan Wu. The color drains out of Gobbet's face. Oh, shit. Kowloon officials report that the terrorist cell, known as the White Star, maintains ties to the state of Hainan and is purported to be receiving weapons and funding from anti-corporate groups in the UCAS city-state of Seattle. Port authorities are standing on high alert, and the Hong Kong Police Force's Special Duties Unit has been engaged to deal with the threat. We go live now to Chief Inspector Crate of the Special Duties Unit, who will be making a statement. Behind the newscaster, a video window displays the location of your firefight in Victoria Harbor. The camera pans to Chief Inspector Crate. She is surrounded by a swarm of news reporters, but appears unfazed by the attention. She speaks with supreme confidence. We have yet to ascertain the motive for tonight's attack, but it was clearly a well-planned and coordinated effort. Crate sounds smooth, more like a corporate mouthpiece than a cop. We've already issued an all-points bulletin along with a killer capture order for the 4 remaining terrorists, and I have instructed the Special Duties Unit to make this manhunt a top priority. She looks directly at the camera. If you should see one of these individuals, do not attempt to engage them. Instead, tap the HKPF flash code at the bottom of the screen. If you're on an authorized network and take a picture, our system will automatically identify them in your data stream. The Decker switches off the newscast and clips her PDA back to her belt. For a moment, there's no sound but the roar of sewer water rushing through the pipes. Gobbet bends over, hands on her knees, sucking wind. Her rats scurry for a new position. And I thought we were fucked before. Wu's voice is eerily calm. But now we are well and truly fucked. You can ask how bad it is. Doesn't look good, does it? We can say we can deal. I'm going to be confident about this. Bravado. You got to be the alpha of the group. We'll deal with it, Duncan. We always do. His mouth tightens. Not this time, Pop-Tart. I feel like every time they say that, it's kind of like somebody calling me Cupcake. So I'm like, are you patronizing me? He's like, no, it's your name. Your name is Pop-Tart. It's not my fault. It's like if somebody named you Cupcake. I'm not being patronizing by calling you your name. This is your fault. You had the ability to type it in. He begins stalking back and forth, a panther in a cage. They've labeled us terrorists, and there's an APB out on us. I've heard this kind of announcement before. I know what comes with it. It doesn't really matter if we have nothing to do with that whatever city-state. They're gonna hunt us down. It's open season. Isabel nudges the remains of Wu's PDA with her booted toe, and the 2 of us will be hunted right down alongside you. Gobbet wide-eyes the eggs as tight as a spring. You can hear the shallow panting as she leans forward, one then the other. We gotta go deep. Hit the mainland for a while until we can figure this out and find a hole to crawl into. Gobbet looks at Isabel, wipes her mouth, and points at you and Duncan. And we've got to get them off the grid, too. Way off. The dwarf looks up at Duncan, and her large eyes narrow. Hey, Lone Star, you've got a security license, right? That means that you've got a SIN, too. So, essentially, it's a serial ID. It's a serial identification number. And so, if you're like, there's two people. There's classless people, and there's people with serial ID numbers in Shadowrun. If you have an ID number, it means you're a person of importance, like you exist in the world. That's basically what it comes down to. It's kind of like having a social security card. It means that you exist, and you use that card to get social services and all kinds of other stuff. The other group, the people that don't have that, are called classless or sinless. And if you don't have that, basically you're just like trash that doesn't even exist as far as the private sector and the public sector are concerned. You're a non-issue. You can be murdered with impunity. Like, essentially, you are a human being without a face. And so you kind of want to have one of those in most cases, but in this case, it's actually a liability. Wu's brow furrows. Of course I have a sin. I wouldn't be able to get paid otherwise. Only criminals and lowlives go sinless. She runs her hands along her cyber deck, thinking. That means you can be traced. Both of you. You get spotted by a drone or a security camera, get ID'd by a retinal scanner, or try to use your cred stick or passport, the HKPF will know just where to find you. Wu crosses his arms across his chest. I know how a system identification number works, runner. Well, we can say to leave her alone. I can't believe it. We're stuck. We didn't take etiquette Shadowrunners, so we can't do that. So we're stuck in this country. No money, no passport, no nothing. Gobbet pulls at her dreadlocks. We're just as screwed as you are. Me and Iz, we're listed as your accomplices, and we can't afford for you to get caught. You'll lead them to us one way or the other. DNA samples, things we've told you, astral residue, I don't know, cop stuff. The little decker looks from you to Wu, eyes narrowed and sizing you up. You can see her make a silent decision before she speaks. Her voice is flat and resigned. No, we need to get your sins burned. Delete you from the record books, all of them. All of them? Whoa, wait a minute. You just want us to erase our identities? Wu rubs a hand across his scalp. Beyond that fact, it's insane. Will that even work if we burn our sins and go off the grid like that? Won't they just redouble their efforts to find us? Condescension seeps its way into Isabel's dry tone. Imagine playing a game of hide and seek with a siren strapped to your head. Would you rather try and hide with the siren, or with the siren conspicuously absent? Well, we can say it is bullshit, and we can try to smuggle back to Seattle. We can get on with it, or we can say deleting our identities across the entire Matrix sounds hard. Well, you know, honestly, I'm just going to be stoic about this whole thing. Panicking really doesn't serve any function aside from getting yourself into further trouble and, you know, eliminating your ability to make critical decision-making. So, I think I'll say, let's get on with it. What do we have to do? Gobbet's voice drops. We got to ask for help. There's only one person who has the kind of pull that it takes to burn a sin and hide us from the cops. It's kindly Chang. And so let me guess, this kindly Chang is some sort of underworld hard-ass. Like a walnut. She's what's known as a straw sandal. Kind of a middle manager for the Yellow Lotus Syndicate. They're a triad. Kindly Chang controls all the illegal activity in our neighborhood. Smuggling, bootlegging, counterfeiting. Okay, so we can make a joke. We can say we're in deep enough. You know what? Sounds like my kind of scum. We got this thing. Yeah, in with the criminal element. Right next to gold on the periodic table. Criminals. She leans in, serious as death. This is no joke. Kindly Chang controls a good-sized portion of Kowloon's underworld. She has soldiers, resources. She's smart, and she's not to be underestimated. Isabel's voice is hollow and flat. Taking favors from a woman like Kindly Chang is a good way to get yourself into indentured servitude. You want to owe favors to a woman like that. Her eyes get big and round. Ideally, you don't want to deal with her at all. That was Nightjar's job. Wait a minute, you know this woman? We've only met once or twice. Nightjar was the one that worked with her. Like I said, she's got her fingers in everything, including brokering shadow runs for the corpse. Kindly Chang is our fixer. Really? A mob-connected fixer. That's a turn. Well, I mean, not even mob-connected, a mob-affiliated, because there's a difference. You know, it's a friend of mine and a friend of ours, if you know what I'm talking about. There's a difference. Gobbet tries to make her voice light and confident. Just stay on her good side and you'll have nothing to worry about. And let's get this done before one of you trips the APB and brings all hell down on us. If you don't know what triads are, essentially, it's like a Chinese mob. They started out in the United States. I don't know how they started out in Hong Kong, but in the United States, they started out as social clubs because Chinese immigrants would come to the United States. California specifically, there's still triads in California. Not where I live, but triads exist. So do the Yakuza and all that kind of stuff. And so anyways, Chinese immigrants would come here and they would have no connections. They would have no way to affect anything. The police wouldn't help them. Social structures wouldn't help them. And so at the end of the day, they made these things called, I think they were called Hongs, or maybe they were called, I don't know, somebody that's more educated about it. They had like a one-syllable word. But anyways, what it came down to is they were social clubs. And so they created, it's sort of like the Black Panthers did in neighborhoods where the police wouldn't go. They created their own law enforcement structure and their own way to get things done inside of their own neighborhoods. And ultimately, those little social structures that were built evolved from being like social friendly neighborhood clubs into triad gangs that actually like held shit down and controlled a significant corner of the market on everything in Chinese neighborhoods. That's about as much as I know about it. But anyways, you scramble up a ladder and through an access way where the sewer system spits you out into the Hong Kong Mass Transit Railway System, the MTR. Crossing the rails, you climb up into the platform and into the station. Above you is Hoi, where the rat, I don't know if that's how you say that, Hioa, I really don't know. That is, if I mispronounce anything during this playthrough, I apologize to Hong Kong natives and anybody else that might know how to like pronounce things, because I am not that guy. So I'm not going to apologize for it again, but I'll give you one right here at episode 4, where the rat shaman and the little decker plan to plead your case to kindly Chang, the one woman they know who can get help on her, who can get you underground and get you off the grid fast. But there'll be a price. Chang is a triad boss whose favors tend to come with strings attached. The sounds of a waterfront at night leak down from the stairway to the surface. Peering up the steps, you catch a glimpse of the night sky, overcast and low. The sewers deposit you into a series of mechanical access ways that eventually link into a system of railway tunnels. Gobbet leads you through 5 or 6 magnetically sealed doors and across several sets of electrified tracks until she indicates you've reached your destination. A little bit worried about going underground because you got to deal with ghouls and metahumans and all kinds of crazy shit down here. Vampires, ghouls, all kinds of undead weird shit exists in this game because magic came back to the world. And so lots of bad stuff can happen to you in dark and dingy underground places in Shadowrun. She holds up her hand and indicates the surrounding platform. This is the MTR station for Hoi. Once you go up those stairs, you'll be in our neighborhood. Kindly Chang runs the operation out of a mahjong parlor called the Swift Winds. I got the Swift Winds frequently after I eat Taco Bell or PF Chang's. Wu rips off his goggles. There's an APB out on us. How do you expect us to get to Swift Winds or to this Swift Winds place without taking a bullet? That's cool. They changed his portrait to denote it. I like that. It's that careful attention to detail. I love little shit like that. It makes me happy. I don't know if those were smart goggles or what they were. Probably not, but it's rare that they let you start with smart goggles. If you don't know what those are, basically you can get a smart link, which is like this thing on your gun that makes you shoot better, and then you plug it into goggles that you wear, and it highlights like critical points on the enemy that you can shoot for, and it makes you better at running and gunning. Hoi is known as a well-known protected area. Kindly Chang sees to that. It's a shadow community. Smugglers, hijackers, black marketeers, you get the idea. Cops tend to give the place a wide berth. Isabel gives a shallow nod. Her gaze remains planted on the floor. Police cameras don't last long here. Between the smog and the cloud cover, we shouldn't have to worry about drone surveillance either. The HKPF won't find you, not if you follow our lead. Gobbet widens her stance and puts her hands on her hips. Now here's how this is gonna work. You can't get an audience with Chang until we secure you an invitation. So me and Iz will go on ahead and pay our respects. Then we'll request that she see you politely. So that's what I was talking about before when I said a friend of mine and a friend of ours. So essentially, when dealing with the criminal element, at least if movies and video games are to be believed, you have to have somebody vet you in. I don't know if it actually works like that. I have no idea, but either way, an audience, what is she, a queen? Her arms crossed and her eyebrows raised high. As far as you're concerned, yeah, she's the queen of Kowloon. Gobbet holds up a hand. One more thing. Kindly Chang is a dangerous woman. She may seem friendly, but don't let your guard drop, and whatever you do, don't disrespect her. I'll act whoever I damn well please. That seems like the bad. I got it. I'm just going to be silent. We're in their territory in a new country where I don't know how the rules play out. And roleplay-wise, that's what I would do. I'd just be silent and make sure that I follow the lead of people that have actually lived here their whole lives. She drops her hand, nods to the three of you. That's it. We'll go on ahead and smooth the way. Just give us a few minutes head start and don't talk to anybody. Alright, what if a local recognizes it from that news broadcast and calls the cops? Gobbet smirks and shakes her head. Nobody in Hoi calls the cops. Doing that around here is a quick way to get dead. I get it. Her eyes narrow and she nods approvingly. That's good. You catch on real quick. We need your sins burned as badly as you do, and we need to figure out a way out of this shit, or we're all dead. She quickly turns away. See you at the mahjong parlor. The Shadowrunner's footsteps quickly fall away, and then you're alone with Wu. He grunts something unintelligible and begins panther stalking back and forth again, boot prints of sewer water and muck making his path on the subway platform behind him. Minutes pass. Wu stops his pacing and runs both hands over his face. Groaning a sound of anxiety and disgust, it dissipates and he stands there silently, his hands covering his face and his shoulders shaking with emotion. Then he begins to laugh. It's a laugh that comes from down deep, from the place where fear and frustration and impotence swirl. So I guess from, like, the wiener right above there, like the low solar plexus to wiener area. But the barrier holds. Wu focuses, taking control of his breathing, and his laughter begins to slow. He becomes himself again. Oh my god, Pop-Tart. After an aftershock of laughter shudders through him. Are you fucking kidding me? What the hell are we doing here? How did we get into this? He drops his hand and turns to you, shaking his head in disbelief. I think I'm gonna lose it. Well, go ahead, we're alone. Nah, let's reinforce. Bullshit. You're a rock. He exhales hard and nods his head over and over. I'm trying to maintain. Seriously, I am, but... Tartar's dead, Pop-Tart. They fucking ended her. He puts a hand to his forehead. I don't know what I'm gonna do now. Sounds like she was more than just your partner. He turns to you with a blank face. More than just a partner, of course she was. Then he gets it and his hackles raise. She was my training officer, you idiot. My mentor. I didn't mean anything by it. Well, it looked like you two were close. He waves you off with a gnarled hand. Carter was my partner. She had my back. Do you know how important that is? What it means to lose that? When you're out there on the streets facing down a food riot, you need to know that somebody's looking out for you. That you're standing next to somebody you can depend upon. That was Carter. His shoulders slump and he exhales heavily. She was like my compass or my anchor or some such shit. She kept me, I don't know, sane? You're sane, Duncan. This is shock and grief. Yeah, I suppose so. He steps back, sucking in a deep breath. Screw it. Whatever she was, I'm throwing down the memory hole. Or throw her down the memory hole. You know why? He snarls and spits because it don't matter now. That's all you can do, in all honesty, when you're in like a situation where you've got a serious threat on your life and somebody just like disappears or somebody isn't dependable, i.e. dead. You just got to keep going. You keep worrying about it. That's a good way to catch a round or catch a knife yourself. Because we're going to burn our sins, Pop-Tart. Jesus Christ. Do you even know what that means? The moment we do that, we're dead. To the world, we are dead. We're wiped clean. He counts it off on his fingers. Raymond, the house we grew up in, my career, Carter, all gone. No home, no money, no identity, nothing. He waves his hand and brushes it all away. We will be nobody. I mean, we were street kids, Duncan. We're used to being nobody. Just chill. Chill? Who the fuck are you to tell me to chill after what just happened? You aren't losing what I'm about to lose either. Our paths went in different directions a long time ago. Wu's neck cranes forward, his lower jaw thrust out ahead of him. You left me behind, god damn it. You left me behind. You left me behind. Memories flash bright, and suddenly you're back 8 years ago on the street outside Raymond's house. Just you and Wu, in the middle of the night. Flashback. You can't just leave like this, Pop-Tart. What am I gonna say to Raymond? You know how he is. Yeah, I know how he is. Inflexible. Exactly. We're breaking one of his rules just being outside the house after curfew. What's so important that you have to run out now in the middle of the night without even telling Raymond why? He's distraught. You can see it in his face and hear it in his voice. He used to be lost without you. Looks like there's a bunch of truth right here. And they are all the truth. Talk about different shades of telling the truth. Job that's too good to pass up. Some people mess with... I think I'm deciding my past right now. They do this in Mountain Blade. So we get to decide what it used to be. I need to see a guy about a deal, the good kind and the big kind. Some people mess with me and I don't tend to letting them get away with it. Okay, it's a job, too good to pass up. I've got a friend in a bind. Or I can't talk about it, the non-committal. I'm going to say that somebody messed with me. That one sounds the toughest. Let's go with that one. Some people mess with me and I don't intend on letting them get away with it and I could use your help. His eyes widen. I can't give you help like that anymore. I'm on a good path now, Pop-Tart. I can't afford to mess that up. Look, whatever's going on, I can tell you one thing. Raymond will not approve. Well, I know we can say that we're sneaking out. Raymond doesn't approve of anything but life of a wage slave. I'm going to go with that one right there. That's the tough guy. Raymond doesn't approve of anything but the life of a wage slave anyways. I'll see you in a couple days. You remember the look on Duncan's face as you walked away. The events that followed were a blur, one that you don't care to remember. 3 days later, you were behind bars in a private corporate prison. No interrogation, no charges, and no appeal. Years later, some corporation bought some other corporation, and the new board of directors pushed through some reform agenda that the higher-ups gave an order. And when you were out, with a few hundred new yen to your name, and one scary-as-hell non-disclosure agreement ensuring your silence. Not that it mattered to you anymore. You were starting fresh and determined. So to put this in perspective, in the Shadowrun world, corporations wield the kind of power that is unimaginable. Like a you know that little box that you click whenever you sign up for a website or whatever? That's the NDA, the non-disclosure. Well, maybe you don't. But anyways, if you've ever done an important job for anybody important, NDAs, they will make you sign them. Like, for example, if you work in entertainment, there are non-disclosure agreements. If you work in IT for companies that have things around, they will make you sign an NDA for the stuff that you saw. Powerful companies will issue these, and most of the time, they're just like a "we will sue you" warning if you voice anything that is clandestine that they're working on. In this world, they will straight up grease you and burn your body in a trash can fire, along with your entire family, and nobody will ever hear or see from anybody you know, 3 generations off and, 3 family members deep in any direction. They will grease everybody you know if you go back on that agreement. Or worse, they'll lock you in a prison cell and do genetic research or magical research on you, which is all kinds of messed up. You do not want to be in that situation, so NDAs are scary in the Shadowrun world. Just be aware that they aren't kind of like the, I clicked on the I agree box that they are in the world that we live in. They are a nasty, nasty thing that you do not want to step over. Until Raymond tracked you down, left you that voicemail, and brought you to Hong Kong and back together with Duncan Wu. You realize that Wu's been staring at you. Now let's hear it. Where the hell have you been all this time? Why didn't you contact me? At least tell me you were alive. Or at least to tell me you were alive. I wanted to, Duncan, but I was locked up tight. Corporate black site, no communication. No shit. He squints at you, full lie detector mode. Oh, fuck. I had no idea. A range of emotion plays across Wu's face. He stares at the ground for some time before finally looking up at you with a heavy sigh. Wow, I really don't know how to process that one right now. He shakes his head. I don't know. If we're still alive tomorrow, we can talk more. This shit is too much for right now. We're marooned on this island, hunted by the cops, my partner is dead, Raymond is missing, and we're about to go see a crime lord about erasing our goddamn identities. And, as a bonus, our only allies are a pair of tiny criminals who would kill us if they could so they didn't have to deal with us. He rubs his head viciously. Listen, Pop-Tart, back in the Barrens, whenever I was out of control, you just handled the situation, remember? With Carter gone, I'm just a raw nerve, and I'm afraid I'm going to slip back and people are going to start getting hurt again. Well, I got your back, Duncan. He stares at you hard like he's been trying to see something inside your head. His voice comes out flat. We'll see. Just don't press it. I need time to get used to you. Now let's go meet that triad woman and get our damn sins burned. I want to rip off the bandage as fast as I can. Alright, good spot to stop off. My name is Splattercat. This is Shadowrun Hong Kong. I will see you all later. I wanted to go ahead and just let you know that if you like the game so far, support the development of this game. I'm a huge Shadowrun fan, and for like 15 years, I was deprived of anything Shadowrun aside from occasional updates to the player manuals and things like that. For real. Like, this is a setting that I really want to see get just exploded, like steampunk did, like zombies did. I don't even care that it'll become trendy or whatever. Like, for real. I would take all of the downsides of trendiness for this to be a genre and a setting that does not go anywhere. And so anyways, check it out down below in the description. Support the developers. I will see you all later. Hi to everybody.